I'm not leaving. You will have to put hands on me, which will be an assault, sir.
Please.
And there'll be a misconduct. Look at this guy. You tell me you turned your body worn on.
I forgot.
You forgot. Is that good enough? When you've just assaulted...
Welcome back to Behind the Blue Lights, where we expose misconduct, examine police and legal encounters, defend civil liberties, and hold those in authority to account. In this episode, the auditor is peacefully recording inside a council building when police suddenly arrive and begin treating a completely lawful activity as something suspicious. There's no clear offense, no solid explanation, and no obvious reason for intervention. Instead, the situation quickly escalates through assumptions, accusations, and increasingly confrontational behavior. Before long, the encounter turns physical, with an officer forcibly removing the auditor from the building despite struggling to explain the legal grounds for doing so. Fortunately, the entire incident is captured on camera from start to finish, leaving little room for dispute about what really took place.
Upsetting the council a little bit.
I'm upsetting the council.
Yeah?
I'm not doing anything.
Well, they've called us and said, because they're concerned, you've come in here, you're wearing a mask, you're wearing shades, and what they were concerned about is that you were filming doors, security doors,
Yeah, I was.
cameras, things like that.
Yeah, I was.
Obviously, in these times, they would be worried about that.
Would they?
Because that looks to be hostile reconnaissance.
What's
doesn't
that?
it? You don't know what hostile reconnaissance
No.
is? Hostile reconnaissance is when someone who's planning a terrorist attack or some other action against people will come to the location in the first to find out where the areas of vulnerability are, where security cameras are, where locations are like that.
Okay.
That's obviously something the council are very keyed up to during these modern times. That's
Okay,
something
so-
they're worried about.
Hold on a second, 'cause you said a lot of things. First and foremost, do you mind identifying yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm Sergeant James Hudson.
Okay.
As you can tell, I've just come out of the police station.
Second, hostile reconnaissance. Is that the textbook definition?
I don't know what the textbook definition is, but that's a definition.
Okay, so it's not the definition, okay, and it involves covert recording. So this isn't covert. This is
Hostile
overt.
reconnaissance doesn't have to be covert.
Okay, so if you knew the textbook definition, then you wouldn't.
This is the point where the argument starts falling apart. The officer immediately describes the auditor's actions as hostile reconnaissance, a term generally associated with covert information gathering linked to criminal or terrorist planning. The problem is obvious. The auditor isn't hiding anything. He's openly filming in full view of everyone around him. By its very nature, hostile reconnaissance usually involves secrecy, concealment, and preparation for some future unlawful act. Simply holding a camera in public and recording openly doesn't automatically fit that description. Using such a serious label without evidence risks turning it into little more than a scare tactic. Rather than explaining a genuine concern, it comes across as an attempt to make perfectly lawful filming sound suspicious.
Because it's quite clear.
It's irrelevant. We can both agree that would look like hostile reconnaissance. Is that right?
Okay. No, I don't agree.
You don't agree?
No, I don't.
Well, would you mind identifying yourself to me?
Do I need to?
Well, yeah, because to me it looks like you
Yes.
are currently carrying out hostile
Yes,
reconnaissance.
I need to.
Yeah, I'm saying I would like you to because of that.
Okay.
And I think you know that you're going to provoke this kind of
No,
reaction.
you just said I need to identify myself.
No, I would like you to.
Okay, well, I'm not going to identify myself.
Okay, well, would you mind leaving the council?
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't mind leaving? Okay, thank you.
If you identified yourself properly, sir.
Yeah,
Please don't
Sergeant-
step so close.
Sergeant
please.
James Hodson,
Okay. Another
2673, Bournemouth Police
another
Station.
question. What's that in your uniform?
Which bit?
The thing that looks similar to a flag?
That?
Yeah, is that police issue?
That's a thin blue line.
Is it police issue?
No, that was
It's
personal.
not part of your uniform. You know, some people find that offensive. I spoke to your colleague at the back gate.
Do you find it offensive?
I do find it offensive. Can you take it off, please?
No, I'm not going to take it. You'll forgive me for smiling there, because you're talking about the decent thing, yet you're coming in here, masking your face, making members of the other public concerned,
Have you had a
making
complaint?
us receive. Yeah, we've received 999 calls.
From who?
About you. From
who?
council members
From the
and staff.
council, so not members of the public.
This is where the situation moves from questionable to outright unreasonable. The officer begins pushing for identification solely because he believes the filming resembles hostile reconnaissance. But personal suspicion alone doesn't create a legal requirement for someone to provide their details. If police are going to justify that kind of request, there needs to be something concrete behind it. A dramatic phrase or vague concern isn't enough. There must be facts that support a genuine legal basis. It becomes even weaker when the complaints being relied upon appear to come from council staff rather than members of the public. Feeling uncomfortable about being filmed isn't a criminal offense. Internal concerns don't suddenly become a policing issue simply because someone dislikes a camera being present. Using that discomfort as leverage to pressure somebody into identifying themselves is a very different matter altogether.
Are they not members of the public?
The public officials.
Well, as far as I'm aware, people in here as well have come to them and said, I'm concerned about that man.
Okay.
So, members of the public within here, because of your actions.
What members of the public?
I don't know which members of the public,
because I've been sat here.
I didn't receive the call myself.
25 minutes. So I've been sat here for about 32 minutes, and there's maybe been about 4 or 5 members of the public that have come past and stayed within this area. Not one person's batted an eyelid about the fact I'm sat with a camera. I've not been filming members of the public.
As far as you know.
No, I know, because I'm good at what I do. So
you've spoken to every single person.
No. What I'm saying is I'm not filming. I'm not filming members of the public. When members of the public are passing my camera, I'm dropping it.
I can only tell you what I've been told, and that is that we've received a call saying that you are causing concern
from council officials.
Look,
public officials.
If you let me finish talking, I'll explain it to you. But if you're going to try and put words in my mouth, then there's not much point having a conversation, is there?
So I'm not putting words in your mouth. You told me
you're trying to finish my sentence.
No. You had members of the. You said that you had 99 calls from members of staff.
Basically, what it boils down to.
The sergeant then attempts to strengthen the narrative by suggesting that members of the public have also raised concerns. The problem is that the footage doesn't appear to support that claim. People are moving through the building as normal, carrying on with their day, showing no obvious signs of alarm, confrontation, or distress. If genuine public complaints existed, you'd expect some indication of them, whether through interaction, objections, or at least specific examples. Instead, the claim feels vague and unsupported. Adding to that, the auditor hasn't been recording members of the public in any meaningful way. Without evidence of harm or disruption, the suggestion that his presence is causing public concern becomes increasingly difficult to justify. You can't simply declare public alarm exists when the footage shows little to support it.
Would you like this man to leave?
Okay.
Please exit
one last thing.
You're now trespassing.
Trespassing is a civil matter. You have no
authority. Can be enforced by the police.
Can it?
Of course it can.
No, it can't.
Please leave.
No.
You're not going to leave.
No, you're going to make me leave.
I will have to remove you if you refuse to leave.
Let's, before we go any further.
No. There is no conversation.
Before we go any further,
you are trespassing.
If you put hands on me, it will be an assault.
No, it won't.
It will be an assault. You'll be infringing my rights. Let me finish my sentence, please. It's a public building. It's publicly accessible.
And your implied right to access has been removed.
Why are you getting aggressive?
Because I need you to leave.
Okay,
and
I'm not leaving.
Listening.
It's a public building.
Yes.
It's funded by the
taxpayer.
taxpayer.
Your implied right to access has been removed.
You can't remove that.
They can.
It's not your building.
It is a private building.
Okay, it's not a private building. Who pays for it?
The council.
The council pays for it. And who pays for the council, sir?
Everybody.
Okay,
well, you've not identified yourself to me.
It's a reception. It's a reception. I've not tried to go past.
Please
stop closing the distance.
No, because I need you to leave.
I'm not leaving. You will have to put hands on me, which will be an assault, sir.
Please.
And there'll be a misconduct. Look at this guy.
Thank you very much.
No,
come on,
let go off me.
This is where the reasoning completely falls apart. The sergeant asks a staff member whether they want the auditor removed, receives confirmation, and then appears to treat that answer as though it automatically grants police authority to act. It doesn't work that way. Trespass is generally a civil matter unless specific aggravating factors or offences are involved, and none appear to be present here. The auditor's point is straightforward. A council building funded by taxpayers and routinely open to the public doesn't suddenly become a private space simply because it's convenient for the argument being made. In fact, the sergeant undermines his own position when he acknowledges that the council funds the building, because the public funds the council. Rather than clearing up the legal confusion with a clear explanation of powers and authority, the situation escalates into physical intervention. Unable to properly establish the legal basis for removing the auditor, the officer instead resorts to force, dragging him out of the building while the cameras continue recording every moment.
When did you turn your body worn on?
I had it on all the time.
Why didn't you tell me? It's against your... Look at this.
Okay,
Get your hands off me now.
Would you mind exiting the whole
I'm in a public place. When did you tell me that you turned your body worn on?
Would you mind
tyrant? No, I will not.
Why not?
Because I don't want to. It's a public place. I can do what I want. When were you going to tell me that you turned this on? You just infringed on my rights, sir. How dare you? You're a disgrace to the uniform.
Thank you very much.
Who do you think you are?
I'm James Hodson.
There'll be a complaint going in against you, sir.
Excellent.
Professional standards, and we'll see exactly what happens. Why didn't you tell me you turned your body worn on?
I forgot.
You forgot. Is that good enough? When you've just assaulted me in a public place?
Well, luckily it was all recorded.
Was it? And why didn't you tell me? You covertly recorded me.
This is not very covert. Because you'll be removed again. And if And then if you don't, we're going to have to look at what, you causing harassment to the people within the building.
I'm not spoken to anyone in there except that man over there.
Actions. I've told you how your actions.
No, you're a disgrace, sir. Go away. You're dismissed. Get out of my face.
Okay. You don't dismiss me.
Yes, I will dismiss you. You're a public servant. You do what you're told.
You are causing a public nuisance.
You do what you're told.
We're not public servants.
Where's the complaint? Where's the complaint? Who's the complaint from? Who's the member of the public that's made a complaint?
Okay, I would not.
Member of the public that's made a complaint.
As the officer physically removes the auditor from the building, another detail quickly comes to light. The body-worn camera is already recording, yet no indication was given that it had been activated. In many forces, informing members of the public that recording has started is considered standard practice unless there is a clear operational reason not to. The fact that this step appears to have been ignored raises further questions about professionalism and procedure. Things become even more revealing when the auditor states that he'll be submitting a formal complaint. Rather than showing concern or confidence that his actions will withstand scrutiny, the sergeant responds with an attitude that comes across as dismissive and self-assured. It's less a sign of confidence and more a display of arrogance. The conversation about being a public servant only adds to that impression. Attempting to distance himself from the term by insisting he's something else doesn't change the reality of public accountability. It sounds less like a clarification and more like an effort to place himself above the very people he is supposed to serve.
Sergeant,
do you appreciate?
He just assaulted me and you allowed that to happen.
No, listen, you've been putting your camera up
and what?
Windows when people are having private consultations.
And windows, people having private conversations.
Yeah.
Where?
No, it's an NHS facility.
I didn't go into the NHS, but I stayed in the reception.
NHS
no, I didn't. It's on film, you numpty.
Right, now you've been rude.
And what?
That's rude,
it's not a crime to be rude, is it? I've just been assaulted by this man, and you want me to be nice about it. Who do you think you are?
Out of the building because you're causing a breach of the peace. You're actually going to cause harm to people.
Well, arrest me for it then. Arrest me for it then.
We don't need to do that.
Arrest me for it. Let's see the CPS say.
The CPS won't get involved.
The CPS won't even authorise charges. You're a numpty.
Don't be rude.
I don't. It's not
Would
a crime.
Would you like to listen to how the law works?
It is not a crime to be rude, sir. I've just been assaulted by this tyrant.
You've been removed
from a public place.
For a breach of the peace.
From a public place. Trespassed from a public place by a police officer. Arrest me if it's a breach of the peace. If it's a breach of the peace, arrest me.
Listen.
Arrest me.
Listen.
And I never got you to identify formally.
Are you going to
identify yourself?
I'm Sergeant Can. Matthew Can. It's written there.
Yeah. Number. Station.
1000 here.
What are you doing here? Is that how you address members of the public? Is that how you identify yourself to a judge? You're dismissed.
Don't go back.
Tyrant.
Instead of de-escalating the situation, the second sergeant appears to reinforce the original narrative. Rather than reassessing what has happened, he introduces a new claim, suggesting the auditor had been filming individuals during private consultations. The problem is that the auditor repeatedly states he remained in the reception area, and the footage appears to support that account. This isn't a minor disagreement over details. It's a serious allegation being used to paint lawful filming as something intrusive and inappropriate. When that argument struggles to hold up, the conversation shifts towards breach of the peace, a term that often appears when other justifications are running out of road. But breach of the peace isn't a convenient tool for removing someone simply because staff feel uneasy. The threshold is far higher and generally requires an immediate risk of violence or significant disorder. Nothing captured on camera appears to reach that standard. That's why the auditor repeatedly challenges them to arrest him if they genuinely believe such an offense is taking place. Despite the warnings, no arrest follows, which raises obvious questions about whether the legal threshold was ever met in the first place.
Detained.
No,
I'm free to go and I'm free to stay. Jog on.
The breach of the peace will occur again, and you'll be arrested for breach of the peace.
Breach of the peace.
Yeah, and if you keep going in there,
what breach of the?
I've explained to you.
Define breach of the peace.
Well, listen.
Define breach of the peace.
Would you like me to, or are you going to interrupt?
Define breach of the peace.
I'm going to.
Go on.
Right. So breach of the peace occurs when harm is about to happen.
What harm is happening?
The harm that's going to take place is you're filming people.
That's not illegal, sir.
Listen.
Don't shout at me. Don't talk to me like that. Who do you think you are?
I'm trying to explain to you.
You're talking to a member of the public, for goodness sake.
Doctor has told me that you were filming people having private consultations.
Well, you need to arrest him because he made a false report. He's made a false report. It's on film. It is on film. It can all be proved. This is the witness that doesn't lie. The witness that doesn't lie. This is the witness that doesn't lie. It's on film. Why would I lie if I filmed it all?
When you make your complaint, you can.
I will make my complaint.
And you will.
I will use your own
you'll give an edited copy and all the rest of it.
No, you'll see everything.
But if you stay out of here. We're all good.
I need to make a complaint about a council official.
Okay, well you can do that through their website.
No, I
or
can't.
by
I could do it at the reception.
No, because you are
infringing on my human rights.
These are not infringing.
Article 10 of the Human Rights Charter. You don't know the law. You don't know human rights.
This is where the contradictions become impossible to ignore. The auditor asks a simple but important question: am I being detained? The answer is no. Logically, that should mean he is free to leave, remain where he is, or continue with his lawful activities. Yet despite being told he isn't detained, he's still prevented from returning inside. That creates a confusing situation where control is being exercised without clearly identifying the power that justifies it. It's a position that leaves someone neither fully free nor formally restricted, creating uncertainty about what authority is actually being relied upon. At the same time, the sergeant continues referring to the doctor's allegation that consultations were being filmed. The auditor consistently denies this and maintains that he never left the reception area. More importantly, he claims to have footage that supports his version of events. If that allegation proves to be inaccurate, it becomes a significant issue because it appears to be one of the main reasons being used to justify the removal in the first place.
Do you not think we have better things to do with our time?
Go away. I didn't ask you to come out. Go away.
No, you didn't, but...
Go away.
But
you can't trespass someone from a public place. Are you dumb? That means you could trespass someone from a public park. It means you could trespass someone from the pavement.
No.
It's owned by the council, is it not?
Because that's not building, is it?
It doesn't matter.
Space.
What do you mean enclosed space? Trespass is trespass. Doesn't matter where it is. If you're trespassing someone, you're trespassing them from property, whether it's from pavement, property. A car park, from a car park or a pavement. Doesn't matter. A park, whatever.
My colleague has had a complaint from a doctor in the NHS.
Have they? I didn't go in there. It's on film. Okay. So he's going to get done for lying. You've not investigated him to find out exactly where I was because he's made a false police report. You're not bothered about that, are you? Where's your impartiality? Do you stand on your oath today, officer? Do you stand on your oath today?
I have suspicion that you were infringing on those people's right to a personal life.
Personal life? What on earth are you talking about?
Because they're in an NHS facility having a medical
I wasn't in there.
Consultation.
I wasn't in there.
And you are sticking your camera through a window.
I didn't stick my camera through a window. I went to the door.
What are their right to privacy? What are their
There's no expectation of rights, no expectation of privacy in public.
They weren't in public. They were in a private consultation.
I didn't go there though.
No.
So if you stood on your oath and you were impartial, I'm telling you that didn't happen. I've got it on film. I've got evidence to prove that. They made a false police report. What? I'll make it available to you at a later stage.
What makes this section particularly uncomfortable to watch is how readily one version of events is accepted without meaningful scrutiny. The auditor repeatedly explains that he was never inside the NHS area and insists the allegation is incorrect. Yet there seems to be little effort to challenge the claim, verify the details, or explore whether the complaint itself may be mistaken. Instead, the doctor's account is treated as reliable from the outset, while the auditor's explanation is largely dismissed. That's not what impartial policing is supposed to look like. The concern here isn't simply about who is right or wrong. It's about whether the facts are being tested fairly before decisions are made. When the auditor asks whether the officers still stand by their oath, he's really asking a broader question. Are they there to establish the truth, or are they simply siding with the first person who raised a complaint? The fact he has to repeatedly explain that he was never even inside the NHS section of the building suggests his account isn't receiving the same level of consideration as the allegation being made against him.
Purposefully trying to provoke reaction. I assume.
Oh yeah, because I asked you to put your hands on me, victim blaming.
See how the way you're dressed and the way you're acting would make people worried and scared in this building.
I don't care. It's not my problem. It's their problem. I'm in a public place. I'm not doing anything illegal.
So you don't care about anyone else's rights. You only care about your rights.
What rights is it that I'm breaching of theirs? What rights? Tell me. What rights? What laws? Any of that? You keep mentioning all this stuff, but you can't mention anything. Any legislation that I've broken, anything like that. What have I done that is illegal, that is wrong?
Are you willing to show me?
I'll show you that. If you're going to let me back in and I'll carry on filming, and now I want an apology. If I prove that there's been a false, I've not been in there. I've not been sticking it in when people have private consultations. That was a false police report. Why wouldn't you uphold your oath, remain impartial and investigate that? Because that's a crime. That's someone who's made a false police report.
Yeah, but it'd be their perception. If they saw you near that door and believed you to be filming.
No. You've just put your hands on me under the pretext that I was infringing on people's privacy, as you said. You didn't make an official complaint.
Well, that's why I've come and asked you, and then you've shown me, and that's great.
And you're using it as grounds to do whatever it is you want to do. You're a disgrace, man.
Well, at that time, we had suspicion that was what
not
happened.
once have you tried to apologise. You see, I didn't harass anyone. You see, I didn't get in anyone's face. You see, it was just my own business.
I've said that part of it was true.
Did you apologise?
No.
No, why not?
You said you're going to follow that up with PSD,
Yeah, you're screwed.
and then I'll wait for their findings.
You fucked big time. Big time. Now what?
Okay.
Now jog on. Ta-da. Walk of shame.
Thank you very much for your time.
Fuck off. Day one.
Thank you.
Yeah, walk of shame. Bye.
Towards the end of the encounter, the focus shifts away from actions and onto appearances. The sergeant begins referring to how the auditor is dressed and how he presents himself, as though looking unusual or behaving confidently somehow amounts to a justification for intervention. That's a troubling approach because rights aren't dependent on appearance, personality, or whether someone fits a particular image. Lawful behavior remains lawful regardless of how a person looks. The auditor then asks what should be the simplest question of the entire encounter: whose rights has he actually violated? Despite all the accusations and concerns raised throughout the interaction, no clear answer is provided. Then comes the moment that should have changed everything. The auditor offers the footage. The evidence is there for everyone to see. The claims about filming private consultations aren't supported. The narrative that justified the intervention begins to unravel. At that point, there is an opportunity to acknowledge the mistake, reassess the situation, and move forward. Instead, there is no apology, no admission that the suspicion may have been misplaced, and no meaningful attempt to address what has happened. What follows is a quick withdrawal from the conversation rather than an honest reflection on the facts. And that's perhaps the biggest takeaway from this entire incident. Once officers convince themselves that someone is suspicious, every action can start being viewed through that lens. Rather than testing assumptions against evidence, those assumptions can become the basis for enforcement. When the evidence eventually contradicts the original narrative, accountability demands that mistakes are acknowledged. In this case, that doesn't appear to happen. That's all for today's episode. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps keep independent coverage like this going. And be sure to check out the auditor's original channel using the link in the description below and show some support for the source footage. Thanks for watching Behind the Blue Lights, and I'll see you in the next one.